There is only one band in American music history that has impacted numerous of musicians from many different genres such as rock and hip hop, ranging from the Beatles to Ice Cube. From the 50s through the 2000s, this band enjoyed several hits. Today's story is all about the Isley Brothers, one of the most influential bands in music history. Now, before we get started in today's video, please be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and push that notification bell to stay up to date. Now without further ado, let's cue that intro. This story begins with O. Kelly Jr. being born on December 27th, 1937, Rudolph being born on April 1st, 1939, Ronald being born on May 21st, 1941, Vernon being born on 1942, Ernie being born on March 7th, 1952, and Marvin being born on August 18th, 1953, all in Cincinnati, Ohio. Their father, O. Kelly Sr., was originally from Durham, North Carolina, and he was also a Navy vet and former vaudeville performer. Sally, their mother, was a native of Georgia. Now, O. Kelly Sr. and Sally were married and moved north to Ohio, where they would have 6 kids and settle in Lincoln Heights, which was a close neighborhood near Cincinnati. By the time the elder 4 children was teenagers, the family they had relocated to the Blue Ash neighborhood. The Isleys, that was a religious family that went to church every week. The parents, they would encourage their eldest 4 children to sing by having them sing in the church choir. At this point, they would adopt the moniker the Isley Boys, and they had styled themselves after many groups, including the Dixie Hummingbirds and Billy Ward and his Dominoes. Vernon, he was the group's main vocalist since he had the best voice out of the 4. They would land a spot on TNECK's Amateur Hour, where they won and was awarded a watch. They will soon begin playing in churches all around the eastern side of the United States. And the family, they will experience a sad tragedy in 1955 when 13-year-old Vernon was killed in a hit-and-run accident by riding his bike in his neighborhood. Devastated, the brothers, they planned to separate and go on with their lives. But that would have been too simple. And these brothers, they was way too gifted to give up that easily. Following much persuasion, mostly from their parents, they would reunite as a trio and they would shift to secular music. Ronald, he would go on to take lead. In 1957, with the approval of their parents, they would relocate to New York. Now, as I stated many videos back, if you truly wanted to make it in the music industry at this time, you had a few options to move to. It was New York, Memphis, Los Angeles, or Detroit. Soon after, the brothers, they would contract Richard Bennett, who introduced them to numerous of music producers. The brothers, they made themselves stand out by combining doo-wop harmonies with their gospel vocals. The group, they released many singles on various labels including Teenage, Mark X, Gone, and Sydney. The Cow Jump Over the Moon, Don't Be Jealous, I Won't Know, This Is the End,
This is the end.
and My Love was among the hits that the brothers recorded during this period.
Baby, can't you see the Lord made you for...
Even though the brothers was widely known locally, their singles had caught the attention of RCA Records, and in 1959, they would sign a contract with the company. Only one of their tracks with RCA had made it to the charts, but They also produced a numerous of other well-deserving hits, including I'm Gonna Knock on Your Door.
If you don't come out tonight, I'm gonna knock on your door, ring on your...
How Deep Is the Ocean?
Oh, won't you tell me how much, don't you know?
And Shout.
You know you make me wanna shout, kick my heels up and shout, throw my hands up and shout, throw my...
This single sold over 1 million copies and was awarded a gold disc. The brothers and the label, they started to have disagreements as a result of RCA's failure to market the brothers' prior records the same way that they marketed Shout. The brothers' debut album was released in 1959, but it didn't chart. And the brothers, they would leave RCA in 1961 and they would sign a new deal with Scepter Records. In 1962, the group's second album was released called Twist and Shout, which peaked at number 61 on the Billboard 200 charts. This album had one hit single with the entitled song. The brothers' third album, titled Twistin' and Shoutin', was released in 1963. The brothers struggled to find a home and they was recorded with varieties of labels including Atlantic, One, United Artists, and V. The brothers, they used what they learned for working with numerous of different producers and they began to create their own material and producing their own songs. They would establish their own label, which they named TNECK Records, off of the city in New Jersey of where they were staying in 1964. They would later that year recruit Jimi Hendrix, a guitarist who was unknown at this time, but he was extremely skilled. They released the song Testify.
All it takes is the rhythm in your feet.
And Move On Over and Let Me Dance.
Oh, you like to dance? Oh, but I give somebody else a chance.
After these two singles was commercial flops, Hendrix, he would quit the group. In 1965, the trio, they would secure a deal with Motown where they would have great success, releasing 2 studio albums and 1 compilation album during their time with the label. This Old Heart of Mine was the group's debut album on Motown, which peaked at 140 on the Billboard 200 charts, number 15 on the Billboard Top R&B Albums charts, and number 23 on the UK charts. This album included 4 big singles, including the title track, Take Some Time Out for Love, I Guess I Always Love You, and Put Yourself in My Place. In 1967, the brothers, they produced yet another album titled Soul on the Rocks, which had a 1-hit single named Had to Have You Back. Now, although that stint at Motown was very successful, they didn't have any singles that reached the top 40 on the Billboard charts. And we all know that if you really want to thrive at Motown, then you must produce a top 10 hit. After leaving Motown in 1968, the brothers, they would revive the TNECK label and they had signed a distribution deal with Buddha Records. The first record that was released by the brothers under their own label was titled It's Your Thing.
It's your thing, do what you wanna do.
Ernie, the younger brother, had made his debut appearance on this record playing the bass. This single also earned the group its first ever Grammy Award, which saw Motown trying to sue them. Motown claimed that the brothers recorded this track while they were still under contract with them, and by 1975, the court had ruled in favor of the Isley brothers. Now, after dealing with the nonsense of Motown, the brothers, they would release It's Our Thing, which was their debut album for their label, which peaked at number 22 on the Billboard 200 charts and number 2 on the Billboard Top R&B Albums charts. That same year, they would independently tape their concert at Yankee Stadium, which sold out. In 1969, the band had issued another album titled Their Brothers Isley, which peaked at 180 on the Billboard 200 charts and number 20 on the Billboard Top R&B Albums charts. This album produced 3 charted topping singles with I Turned You On,
I turned you on, now can't turn you off.
Blackberries.
Black as a bear. He said the sweet.
And Was It Good to You?
To be out there on your own, I wanna know how did it feel.
1970, they released another album titled Get Into Something. This album produced many hit singles, including Keep On Doing.
Now I'm gonna say it again. Each his own.
Girls Will Be Girls, Boys Will Be Boys.
Girls will be girls.
And Freedom.
I wanna tell you, I wanna say it. When you
By 1971, the group had grown to include younger brothers Ernie and Marvin, as well as a brother-in-law Chris Jasper, and had officially established themselves as a band. Might I add, Jimi Hendrix was the one that persuaded Ernie to leave the drums and play guitar, and ever since then, Ernie can go down as being one of the greatest guitarists ever. To develop their sound, the brothers they would combine elements of rock, gospel, and funk. The six-man sibling band first album together was titled Giving It Back, which peaked at number 71 on the Billboard 200 charts and number 13 on the Billboard Top R&B Albums charts. 3 successful singles for this album was released titled Love the One You With,
and you don't remember who you're talking to.
Spill the Wine,
I was once out strolling one hot and summer day.
and Lay Lady Lay.
Lay, lady, lay. Lay across.
The newly added 3 brothers would really shine in the next album that was released in 1972 titled Brother, Brother, Brother. This album peaked at number 29 on the Billboard 200 charts and number 5 on the Billboard Top R&B Albums charts. This album gave us 4 hit singles with Lay Away,
Don't have to worry about it getting away. Yeah.
Pop That Thing,
Now do your stuff, come on.
Work to Do,
I gotta make it for you, and I gotta make it for me.
and It's Too Late.
There's something wrong here. There can be no denying.
TNECK's distribution arrangement with Buddha Records would end following the release of this album, and they would strike a new deal with Epic Records. By 1973, they had released their 11th studio album titled 3+3, which peaked at number 8 on the Billboard 200 charts and number 2 on the Billboard Top R&B Album charts, as well as being certified platinum. This album produced 3 big singles with That Lady,
Who's that lady? Who's that lady? Beautiful lady.
What It Comes Down To,
Here I am loving you. You're like a dream.
and Summer Breeze.
Yeah.
The band released 7 albums between the years of 1974 and 1983, 7 of which had sold over 1 million copies and earned platinum certifications, while 2 had sold over 500,000 copies and earned a gold certification. They released several singles during this time, including Fight the Power,
Time is truly wasted. There's no guarantee.
For the Love of You,
Drifting on a memory. Ain't no.
Live It Up,
You never want to comfort me. Oh no.
Don't Say Goodnight,
I wanna love you. Yeah, yeah.
and Between the Sheets, among many more hits.
Hey girl, ain't no mystery. Early.
The brothers began to have financial difficulties as well as artistic disagreements, among other concerns that impacted the group. Isley, Jasper, and Isley was created after Ernie, Marvin, and Chris was split from the group. The album Masterpiece was released shortly after the split, and this album peaked at 140 on the Billboard 200 charts and number 19 on the Billboard Top R&B Albums charts. This album was released under Warner Brothers Records, where the original 3 members of the Isley Brothers had secured a deal. On March 31st, 1986, the family will experience yet another tragedy when oldest brother O'Kelly will pass away at the age of 48 from a heart attack. Now, O'Kelly was battling cancer at the time of his death, which led him to lose a lot of weight, as it could be seen on the Masterpiece album cover. With the album Smooth Sailing and Stay the Night, Ron and Rudy, they would collaborate with music producer Angela Winbush as a duo. Rudy will leave the music business after these two albums and pursued a career in ministry. In 1990, Ron, he decided to put the band on hiatus and release solo singles. Ernie and Marvin, they would reunite with their elder brother in 1991 to relaunch the Isley Brothers. Their 25th album, titled Tracks of Life, which was released in 1992, had reached a high position of 19 on the Billboard 200 charts and 140 on the Billboard Top R&B Albums charts. In 1995, Ronald, he would rise to fame as Mr. Biggs, the super villain in R. Kelly's smash hit, Down Low. The popularity of the music video had helped the group's upcoming album, Mission to Please, reach platinum status. Marvin's career would tragically come to an end in 1996 as a result of his long-going battle with diabetes, which led to the amputation of both of his legs. After this, Ronald and Ernie, they would continue performing together as a duo, and in 2001 they would release the album Eternal. This album will reach number 3 on the Billboard 200 charts and number 1 on the Billboard Top R&B Albums chart, selling over 500,000 copies, earning a gold certification. This album had 2 hit singles with Contagious.
It's 2 a.m. just getting in, about to check my message.
And Secret Love.
I've been waiting for you, girl.
With these hit albums, the Isley have racked up many hits in 6 straight decades, and in the 2020s, they will rack up 2 more hits, making them one of the only groups to have several hits in 7 different decades. In 2021, they will release a single with Snoop Dogg called Friends and Family.
Break out the food and the drinks, it's gonna be a party.
And they had another hit in 2022 with Beyonce called Make Me Say It Again, Girl. In 2007, the brothers' career was placed on hold, with Ron, he was sentenced to 3 years in prison for tax evasion. In 2010, Ron, he was released from prison. In June of that year, the family, they will see yet another tragedy when Marvin will pass away for his long battle with diabetes. While Ron was in jail, Ernie, he will spend time touring as part of the Experience Hendrix Concert Festival. Once when Ron was released from prison, he finally released his well-anticipated debut solo album. In 2011, Ron and Ernie, they will reunite and have since performed together on the road. And in 2021, the Isley Brothers, they participated in a versus battle against Earth, Wind & Fire, which was very well received. Several musicians, including Ice Cube, the Notorious B.I.G., and Aaliyah had all sampled the Isley Brothers songs, and these songs that they made was It Was a Good Day,
Just waking up in the morning, gotta thank God. I don't know, but today seems kinda
Big Papa,
To all the ladies in the place with style and grace, allow me to lace these lyrical douches.
and At Your Best, You All Love.
When I feel what I feel.
The Isley Brothers were recognized with several inductions, including the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1992, the Hollywood Rock Walk in 1997, the Vocal Group Hall of Fame in 2003, and the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 2014. Shout was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame in 1999, as well as a hit Twist and Shout that was inducted in 2010. Now, the Isley Brothers are one of the most greatest influential groups in music history. And as Paul McCartney once said, if it wasn't for the Isley Brothers, then the Beatles, they would still be in Liverpool.